Hi everybody, welcome back to Emmy Lee Books. In today's video, I'm going to be counting down my top 10 favourite books from 2018. Finally, it's that time. It's coming to the end of December, so I can talk about my favourite books. So without further ado, let's get on with it. Coming in at number 10 is Arusha and the End of Time. This was such a fun book to read. It was rich with Indian myth and Indian culture, and it wasn't like a simplistic book. Even though it is a middle grade book, it wasn't simplistic at all, like City of Ghosts by V.E. Schwab, which I thought was a little bit simplistic. This was really rich in culture and history, and I learnt a lot from reading it. It was really, really funny as well, which I wasn't expecting. But it was also quite deep. It had some sort of quite emotional and thought-provoking moments. So overall, I really, really enjoyed reading this book. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads, and I can't wait to read the second one, which I believe comes out sometime in 2019. Coming in at number 9, we have Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. I feel like out of all of these books, this is probably the book that was spoken about the most in 2018. Everybody was talking about it and saying how amazing it was, and it was amazing. It definitely lived up to the hype. It was really, really quite special and unique, and I definitely loved the book as a whole. I gave it 5 stars on Goodreads. I think there is going to be a sequel to this, but I'm not too sure. But yeah, definitely this had to be in my top 10. I would have placed it a little bit higher, but I read it all the way back in April. So I think that has something to do with the order in which the books are placed, because obviously the books I read at the beginning of the year, they aren't going to be as fresh in my mind as the ones that I've read more recently, but it was amazing. So number 9, Children of Blood and Bone. Coming in at number 8, we have Renegades by Marissa Meyer. This was one of the most surprising books of 2018 for me, because I don't typically like books that are about superheroes. But I absolutely loved this. Arch Nemesis is on my TBR for 2019, and it is also on my Christmas wish list, so hopefully someone will buy it for me, hint hint, because this definitely left off on such an amazing cliffhanger, and I really want to know what happens next. So for number 8, Renegades by Marissa Meyer. Coming in at number 7, we have Thunderhead by my new favourite author, Neal Shusterman. Oh my god, this was amazing. This was such a good sequel. Everything about it I loved. In the first book, we sort of learn more about the world and the characters. This is more about sort of the technological side of the world. I absolutely loved it. It was fantastic, very thought-provoking, amazing. And I think that book 3, Toll, is coming out in 2019, but we don't have an exact date for it yet. But yeah, Thunderhead was absolutely incredible. So at number 7, Thunderhead by Neal Shusterman. Coming in at number 6, One Dark Throne by Kendare Blake. I read all of the series in 2018, but I think the first one for me was really, really special because it introduced me to the characters and the world and the magic system and all of that. And I really, really loved it. It was definitely a different kind of YA for me. I had never really come across a YA that was about sisters, and I really liked that about it. It was a little bit dark and edgy. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars on Goodreads. So coming in at number 6, One Dark Throne. So these are my top 5 favourite books for 2018, and number 5, we have The Way I Used to Be by Amber Smith. Unfortunately, I don't actually have this book with me because it was so amazing and fantastic. I lent it to my friend, but I did do a discussion video about this book, so I'll leave the link down below if you want to watch that. But this book was absolutely beautiful. I loved it so, so much. I gave it 5 stars. It was really thought-provoking and amazing. I loved the characters and the way that the story was told. So definitely number 5, I had to put The Way I Used to Be by Amber Smith. Coming in at number 4, We Are the Ants by Sean David Hutchinson. This had been on my TBR for a really, really long time. I was actually given this for my birthday, I think about a year ago, and I never got around to reading it. Finally, I read it in December, at the beginning of December. Oh my God, it was amazing. I absolutely loved it. I had never read anything like this before. It had a lot of science-based stuff in it that I wasn't expecting, but I learned a lot from reading it. The characters were engaging and amazing. The story was really, really interesting, unlike anything I'd ever read before. Again, I gave this 5 stars, so coming in at number 4, very well-deserved place for We Are the Ants. Coming in at number 3, Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. So I should have mentioned before, not all of these books were actually published in 2018. Some of them were published before. I think Six of Crows was published in 2016, but let me check. I think it was 2016. Oh, 2015. But I only got around to reading it in 2018. Absolutely amazing. I loved this book so, so much. I loved the characters, I loved the plot, everything about it I adored. I still haven't read Crooked Kingdom, but it's going to be one of the first books that I plan to read in 2019. It's a duology, Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, if you haven't read it yet. But Leigh Bardugo is such an amazing author, and this book for me was just amazing. I really, really loved it. I think I read the whole thing in about 2 days, which for me is like amazing. So Six of Crows for number 3. Coming in at number 2, we have Sadie by Courtney Summers. Again, I don't have a copy of this, but it's not because I lent the copy to a friend. I actually listened to this on audio. And again, I did do a video discussion about Sadie and my experience with it. So I'll leave the link down below for that if you want to watch it. But if you don't want to watch it, that's fine. I'll tell you a little bit about the story. It follows a 19-year-old girl called Sadie. She finds out that her sister Mattie has been murdered, so she goes off. She's determined to find out who was responsible for her sister's death, and it's told in a kind of pod style type way. On audiobook, it was just absolutely amazing. It was the first audiobook I've listened to ever, and it was just fantastic. I absolutely loved it. I gave Sadie 5 stars, and it's really made me excited to read more of Courtney Summers' other books. So I think on my TBR for 2019, All the Rage is on there by Courtney Summers and a few others as well. So yeah, Sadie was absolutely fantastic. If you haven't read it, I highly, highly recommend that you do, because it was just amazing. And finally, coming in at number 1 is a book that I read all the way back in April, and when I was talking to my husband about my top 10 books from 2018, I asked him, which book did I talk to you the most about? Which book would I just not shut up about? Which book was I talking about all the time? And he said, without question, Scythe by Neal Schusterman. And I remember when I read this, I was talking about this and thinking about this for weeks, if not months. I even encouraged my husband to read it as well. I absolutely love this book. This has got to be one of my favorite books of all time, not just from 2018, but ever. I think that this book is so inventive and unique and interesting. It brings up so many interesting points that I never really thought of before, but it's just so inventive, and I loved the way it was written. And as I said, Neal Schusterman is my new favourite author. Book 3, Toll, should be coming out in 2019, but we don't have a date for it yet, as I said before. But if you haven't read Scythe, it's basically set in a dystopian world where the population has been under control. Basically, people can't die anymore. And the way that the population is kept under control is that we have these scythes that basically go around gleaning people, and they sort of are picked at random. And it follows 2 main characters, Citra and Rowan, who both are apprentices for scythes, and they are becoming scythes as well. They're in training. And it was just a really, really interesting book. I loved everything about it. So my number 1 book for 2018, without a doubt, is Scythe by Neal Schusterman. So that is it. Those are my top 10 books from 2018. Lots of books that I need to read in 2019, but I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you again very soon.